Looks like I was muted. All right. Sorry about all that. But yeah, this is a live test and we're going to go live. We're actually going to do a full on show today. Yeah, it's okay, Mav Bet. You should hear me now. But thank you for that. I appreciate it. I was just muted there for a minute. So we're using the Rumble streamer today, right? So the Rumble streamer is, you know, it's a little bit different than what I'm used to, but we did get the issues figured out. I think it was Friday when I got all that figured out. So I'm going to bust out the screen here. I'm going to get rid of that QR code. However, if you are watching this, you want to know more about Algo Factory, what we do, how we do it, just zap the QR code that you see on the right-hand side of the screen. MavBet, let me know if you actually do hear me at this point. That would be helpful. And that would be helpful. Yeah, cool. So I'm going to go ahead and wait until I do hear from MavBet here. I know she's listening. Let me go ahead and reach out to some of my other people here. Can you all hear me live? Question mark. We got somebody watching on Rumble too. We got Rumble, we got YouTube so far. So somebody say something. MavBet has a thumbs up. Okay, good. That means I'm live. All right. Good deal. All right. So yeah, we got a few people filing in. Good. All right. So I should be able to see your chats if you're on YouTube and if you're on Rumble. I don't know about X. Nobody's actually on X watching that I can see, but usually people file in right there too. We did start just a couple minutes late. And I was muted for the first like few seconds, and that sucks, but it is what it is. So I am going to go ahead and jump right in here. Let me take this QR code off the top right-hand side of the screen. If you want to know more about what we do, zap that code or go to algofactory.tech. We'll talk more about that later in the show. Okay, so we'll tell you what we do, how we do it, and all that sort of stuff. All right. So let's do. Okay, let me zoom in a bit on the graphics. Make sure you all can read what's happening on the screen. There we go. And we'll maximize this screen. And we'll get rid of all this gobbledygook. And let's see here. All right. Yeah, I don't know if I like that. I want Zeist. Okay, good. Let's go back to the comments. Sorry, getting used to all the new controls here, so it might take me a second. All right, into it. We got Bitcoin here doing kind of what I thought it would do. I thought Bitcoin would head up and grab liquidity at this kind of 52,600, right? And that's what I thought would happen, but it seems as if it's already stalling out, or it's just going to take a little bit longer to get there, right? So it might be. Let's go over to the Kingfisher and see if I can grab some liquidity here. Looks like 52.5 to 52.6 is still where the liquidity is nearby, right? And then of course we have right in the low 50,000 range. And this from the bottom of this to the top of that is essentially our range that I've drawn out in that rectangle. So 50,100 up to 52.6. If you look at the chart here, the bottom of this rectangle is 50,500, so basically the same kind of area, and then 52.6 is the top. So as of now, what's going on is people, at least within those particular liquidity, you know, nodes. These are just people that are kind of trading back and forth, right? Or perhaps their hoping price will extend out of that in the direction in their favor. But there's a ton of liquidity sitting down at 40K. There's a lot of it. Now, I haven't been actually keeping track of the amount of liquidity in these nodes, right? And why does liquidity matter? Well, for people who might be new to this whole thing, people who might be new to trading, liquidity is, we have with cryptocurrency the ability to actually see this. Now, if this were stocks or Forex or anything besides crypto, we don't have that. We don't have that visibility of what's going on with the liquidity. And so you're looking at like a scenario and this is like super interesting. The fact that we even have this visibility, right? We'd have to pay like $25,000 a month for a Bloomberg terminal to even see that kind of data with stocks. But we got it right here at the Kingfisher, and there is a link in the description if you want to use Kingfisher, right? Just use the referral link. I think you get a discount if you decide to pay for it, but you can also just spin this wheel for free just to get liquidity. But look, Kingfisher's like way bigger than that. But this is how you spin the wheel, right? Let's see if we got like a free token or two. Nope, try again later. So what I think is going to happen though is if price doesn't make its way to the top of this area, then it's going to go down and grab what used to be here at least. It's kind of moved up to 50,100. So that's essentially where it was before. Not any real difference, but the big liquidity is down at about 40,000. So eventually, if price needs to pull back before the big bull run, before the halving, it's very likely that it will. And if it does, it's probably going to happen in the next like few weeks. I mean, it might even be the next few days. And I'm in a short, and everybody in Algo Factory knows the metrics of that short. They know the details of the short that I'm in, right? So definitely in that world of price headed down. Now my target's not down at 40,000. If I were to look for targets like that, I probably would look for some different metrics to happen. And the way that I do that is all based on my algorithms, which is actually like we teach people to build algos over at Algo Factory. So that's why it's called Algo. That said, if Bitcoin pulls back, I think we might see possibly some nice pullbacks in the alts too, right? So there's a lot of altcoins that are, like super, they're valuable, right? And if the price goes down on altcoins, it might be a good time to consider buying them, right? So, and we've talked about those alts. I mean, if you just go back to my videos in the last few weeks, I talk about which altcoins I like, whether they're big altcoins or small altcoins, and we're looking for that to happen. So let's take a quick look over at Ethereum. This is going to be a basic kind of a pre-market look at some charts. Looks like look, I literally talked about this last week a few times. Go to my videos, you'll see it. I talked about how it's like the Ethereum price was bullish, it was bouncing around, and it was probably going to pop up to the outside. I think I talked about that Thursday or Friday, and that is literally what happened. So, I've been predicting Ethereum's price for several weeks in a row right now. So understand that if you can predict the price of something, then I mean, that's just a way to make money, right? And so with Ethereum having broken out of this and now it's gone down and retested the top of this range, there's a decent chance. And I'm not going to, look, nothing we say is investment advice. So you have to do your own research, right? Like even these big coins like Ethereum, anything or stocks or anything, doesn't matter. It can all go to zero. Like you can lose your money. So you got to talk to a licensed investment advisor before you risk your money on markets. But a trade like this is like maybe not such a bad trade. I might be interested in this. In fact, I might even have a tighter stop if my algos say that I can, like a 3 or 4 to 1. It's very possible. And I've been very open about this on all channels. 3,400 Ethereum is realistic. Like I'm definitely looking at that. So we could see price head up there, and that right there is a trade. I mean, I'm not saying for you to take it. You need to do your own research, but this is a trade idea. And I may very well take that idea. It just depends on a few things. If Bitcoin goes like, let's just say it drops out of that consolidation really hard and does make it down to 40,000, Ethereum might take a hit. But if it slowly kind of ekes down and doesn't really drop too hard, then we might not see Bitcoin dominance go up so quickly, and then we might actually see a nice move up to this 34,000. So this right here is a pretty legit trade. You just have to determine what you like your stop loss to be like. You want your stop loss to be below the this prior structure right there for extra protection in case of a hard Bitcoin move. It's still above 1-to-1. It's still a better risk to reward scenario, right? It's still, for me, it's feasible. But maybe a stop loss down here, something like that. Either way, it's a great trade. Let's go ahead and move over to Solana for now. Okay, a little delay on the computer. There we go, Solana. Solana seems to be just sideways, and it's been sideways since the beginning of the year, more or less. It had such a monster move last year, and a lot of the meme coin action moved over to Solana. A lot of things moved over to Solana. So Solana is, of course, becoming increasingly popular. But when you have something go times 6 in a matter of months, you're looking at, like, if I were to zoom out here back to September, Solana was sitting at about 17 bucks, right? And now it's up to like 130. So you're talking about that's what, times 6 more or less. And so you're going to have some profit taking, you're going to have a consolidation. And ultimately, look, if I were just to be super simple about it, it looks like a large range is being developed. Maybe something like this is actually kind of realistic. Price could easily go down to the bottom of this, but within that, you have these other ranges that I've drawn that you see, right? And I think Solana, once it breaks above this, we start to see, and this might take a while. This could take a long time, because look how Solana has done that. Like, since September, that's a 3-month. That's the entire quarter 4 was nothing but up with Solana. So nothing goes up in a straight line. Things need a rest, and so for Solana to kind of take a break, and maybe before it heads up, you might eventually see, I think, 144 again. That's another target trade that I've been very open about, just giving away these ideas for free on these larger coins. So that's just another prediction that I have. Now, I'm not saying it's going to happen this month, but it could. Once it breaks loose, once Solana breaks loose, it'll be, I think, pretty notable. But I think that what we're going to see is either a sideways accumulation between 79 or 80 and like 120. So 80, 120, I think price will just kind of bounce around in there for a little while and then eventually break out, right? And then maybe head up to 140. So, kind of the more risky thing to do if you're, if your own research says to do this, if Solana does make its way down to this, 80 kind of level, it might not be a bad consideration to just take along within the range. I think it might be a little bit late to go short on this right now, and shorting Solana in this market actually kind of seems a little dangerous because of how hot it is. But what may happen is just kind of a move down here. Now, it could do all kinds of stuff on the way down, but eventually make its way down to right here. And just by trajectory, I would say you're looking at early March, and then maybe that might be a good entry for Solana, possibly, right? Now, Solana could bump its head back here again, right? And also on the way to the halving, Bitcoin does tend to take a move down. So if Bitcoin has a drastic retracement, if Bitcoin has a kind of a violent retracement down, that could pull Solana down with it. Just gotta watch out for that. That's always a possibility. So if you're over in YouTube, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. And if you have like a, if you have a chart you want to see, right? If there's like, hey, I want to see this, I want to see that, like, just ask for it. If you want to see, even if it's gold or a stock or something. In fact, oh, by the way, everybody, another announcement here. The Gorilla is supposed to be back tomorrow. He's been under the weather. The Gorilla went ahead and probably ate a bad banana peel and doesn't feel well. So we want to wish him better days, and he is getting better. Talked to him, actually texted with him more yesterday. So, and I think, of course, I'm reminded of V because we're looking at gold, because V the Gorilla is a pretty sizable gold broker, if you will, dealer. I don't know what you would call that, but he helps people, helps facilitate transactions like that around the world, gold and Bitcoin, very large transactions. Um, so looking at gold in the spirit of V the Gorilla, we had a bit of a range where price kind of popped out down. Let me zoom this in so everybody can kind of get a better look at it. So gold made all-time highs back in December, right? Gold's never been in the history of charting, in the history of dollar denominated gold. Gold's never been higher than 2150, and that's pretty much where it went back in December, right? 2149. So, and I'm sure it was higher in other areas. And of course, if you're actually going to buy physical gold, there's going to be what do you call that? A premium on top of it. So probably in reality is closer to, I don't know, 2,500 bucks an ounce, maybe higher, 27, 28 at that time. There's only one time that gold was ever higher, and that was because of on 9/11, gold literally became priceless, right? You couldn't buy it. But that's a very unique scenario. And gold tends to go up whenever there is conflict, which is why if you look back at October 7th, with the Israel situation, you can see here where it just literally rocketed up. It was down to 1800. Actually, it touched 1810, and it just rocketed up within like a few days. It made its way up to about 2000. So, that's one thing about gold to understand. And gold is just kind of staying up here, right? Now, if you look through a higher time frame, kind of maybe like just go look at the weekly, so I have to excuse all this craziness on the chart right now. We'll fix this for you. All right, that's just a bunch of data that I look at. If you look at this chart on the weekly, going back to 2020, you can see that there is a high time frame range that's been created. So for the past 4 years, 3 or 4 years, it has been bouncing back and forth. And what can we draw? Actually, really the past 2 years, but let's draw a rectangle around that. And I think a fair range for this in the last few years has been about, say, from 1680 to about 2075, 2060, right? That's more or less where the range has been. We could probably have a little bit higher of a top on that. So, price tends to bounce off that and head down. But right now it's doing something it did not do before, right? So you had a big move up back in 2020 August, and then price moved back down to 1680. And then you had this big move up in March of 2022, and then that was right after the invasion of Ukraine, or special military operation, whatever you want to call it. And then price went ahead back down to the low 1600s. Now you have this big move up here. Price did try to go back down. Now this was back in May of 23, so this is like less than a year ago. And then price tried to move down, but it got stopped halfway down. And that's unique, right? So if you just draw arrows, you can see that gold is behaving a little bit differently than the last couple of times that it bounced off the top of this range. Where the last time it went to the bottom of the range, this time it actually went down halfway and back up and made an all-time high, right? Now, this is an interesting thing here, because the rally up did occur with the situation in Israel. So there is that. But there are a lot of people who believe that situation in Israel is going to be sort of the beginning of a lot of other situations. We've got issues in the Red Sea. These things are kind of all related. So unless things actually calm down and peace is made, there's a decent chance that gold will hang out in the stratosphere. And quite frankly, one could argue that what's going on in the Middle East and elsewhere in the world is actually symptomatic of a much wider change in the power structure. And when there are broad power structure changes, there can be tumultuous, we'll use the polite term politics, but there could be a lot of problems that arise in that scenario. So gold may stay a little bit high because of that. And there's a whole I've done videos on it, on why I think gold will kind of remain high for a while, and even start to go on to a new paradigm in the next 5 years. And it could be a lot sooner than that, but we're not going to discuss that right now. Just, I wanted to show the wider picture so that you all understand why I think price will probably not go below 2000 anytime soon. I mean, it could, something could happen, price could easily do that, but it's just not in my probability set that price is going to, as much as I would like price to head down below 2000, it bounced off of what, 1980. I mean, yeah, it could do something like that, but I don't think it, I really don't see it going below 1900. I think a relatively hard bottom for gold's like 1930. Now it could, things could change. Certain things can happen in the world and change what's happening, but it just seems like the world's on a certain trajectory right now. There would need to be a lot of water thrown on a lot of conflicts for gold to make its way back down, like, to the 1600s. Okay, so we'll move on here. We got WLD request from Cool Cat. Let's look at it. WLD. Okay. WLD is wildin'. I got a new VPN. My computer just slowed down ever since, but I needed to. Oh, WorldCoin? Yeah, WorldCoin. Such a trash coin. Like, no one's really using it. WorldCoin is like, I think it's just fake. This whole concept of WorldCoin is trash. But I mean, if you can make money, you can make money. I mean, WorldCoin, if you ask me, it looks like it might have found its top. So you're just looking at a consolidation right now. I'm looking at pure price action. I'm not even looking at the algos. It looks like it's building a range. Like, if price breaks below where it is right now significantly, then this range is done. But it looks like it's building a range up in this area. So, if it breaks below, it goes down. If it breaks above, it goes up. But you're sitting in FOMO. You're looking at FOMO coins. So, if you got to play we have our FOMO plan. So there you go. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just depends on if and when it breaks out of this consolidation and what direction. Does it break down? Does it break up? But I think this is a fair range for it right now. I wouldn't short it just yet if I were to short WorldCoin. I mean, it's also kind of a dangerous time in the market to short a lot of things. And a lot of people made money on WorldCoin recently, so they're probably not. There's probably not a lot of people selling. There's a lot of fanboys. High time frame, it's bullish, but if anything, there's a certain kind of a pullback that we use to trade FOMO. So I would do that on the daily. That's how I look at WorldCoin. Yep. Do your XYZ pullback on that on the daily though. That's how I would do it. So I don't know if we're already there. You might be past that. You might have to go to a 618 instead. So yeah, just got to rely on the algos, man. If Cool Cat, you've been doing this a while. I imagine you have some kind of algo that you're trading with. All right, cool. So let's move on. We looked at Solana. Let's look at AVAX. AVAX has been the quiet badass, like, that people are not paying attention to because Solana's taking the limelight. But it's a very similar scenario to Solana. So what I would do with AVAX is I'm going to look at some. I'm just going to do a Fibonacci here. Fibonacci. Now going back in time here, yeah, there's not a lot of structure. Excuse me, in recent history, and even even in the prior pullback, you've got a bit of structure based on when the bull market was ending in 2022. So these are structural points. These are pivot points. There is a bit of one here right there. I would pay attention to here and there. So there's a lot of confluence here at the 1.618. So if I were to trade AVAX, I would need for my algos to tell me it's okay. And again, we're in a time in the market. I think the market is expecting a pullback. So I would need a lot of things to line up, but let's just pretend that they lined up. I'd be looking at targets like here. I look at this, maybe 66.27. It's the actual 618 is sitting at $70, but 70 is a round number and there's structure in the way. So I would look at maybe like 66, and I'd look at, because of structure, I'd look at just a little bit lower than the structure itself. So maybe 55 and 66. But AVAX it may not be the time to enter AVAX, right? I mean, it looks okay on the daily. Let's see what it looks like on the weekly. Yeah, I would hang back. But at the same time, I mean, at this point with AVAX, price structure is probably the best way to look at this. It's in a sideways, possibly very likely an accumulation, but it could kind of continue to just bounce and sink down a little bit lower before it decides to move up. I think a lot of the market's in that scenario. It does have a decent bit of structure from some prior price action, so you could look at a range like this. Deviation to the bottom, deviation to the top, but a lot of, price just kind of bouncing at these numbers. So I might, at a break out of this range, might go long, or a bounce off the bottom of that range. But those are some good entries on AVAX. And I think right now AVAX is probably at a decent price for long term. That's a decent price for long term. But that's just, again, not investment advice. You got to do your own research. So we are now at the end of the live lab. So I'm going to hopefully do this properly, and I'm going to get us over to the private group. But what we're going to do first is throw up the QR code once more. So this QR code, if you zap that, you come over to algofactory.tech. We help people learn how to trade. We help people build algorithms. So you build your own algorithm so you can learn how to trade. And eventually, if you so wish, you can actually learn, at least be on the path to have that coded for you so that you can have it trade for you and you can walk away. That's really what Algo Factory does. And, we have a Telegram room that's open like all the time. So, we are definitely able to, we're able to help you out. Like if you have questions, if you're in the online university and you just have a question that's not answering, you can come into the Telegram room. We're there all the time, and we're able to answer those questions. So over in the Telegram room, I'll ask you all to be probably patient for a minute. I may have to do something here on Rumble to make this work properly, but I am going to end the YouTube bit here. So thank you all for coming. I appreciate it, and we will catch you on the flip side.